Well, the time is now. Whether it's Marvel, Star Wars, or DC, they have to find a way to grab the audience. They have to find a way to get back to glory because, well, pop culture is moving full steam ahead with or without them. And, well, really, it's moving forward without them right now. So the question remains, which of the big three, Star Wars, Marvel, or DC, is going to get back into form? Who's going to be the first to come back and pull the audience back in? Look, DC has been floundering for years at this point in time. 2013's Man of Steel was supposed to be the start of a universe. Since then, it never found its footing. Here and there, it had some hits, but it was never able to grab the audience like Marvel did with 2009's Iron Man or 2008's Iron Man, whatever that was. That really got the ball moving for Marvel, but after 2019's Avengers Endgame, well, they've been struggling pretty heavily. And then when you talk about Star Wars, which is one of the biggest franchises of all time themselves, well, they have been struggling ever since the divisive sequel trilogy. So let's take a look and see what each one of these franchises has coming up, and maybe we can ascertain what is going to be the first franchise out of these three that might maybe just get back to the glory or be the one to pull the audience in and say, "We're back, baby, we're back." That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to see. Look, me being a diehard Star Wars fan really wants to see it be Star Wars. But let's take a look. We're going to start with DC here because, honestly, they may have the least amount of things coming out. Honestly, you take a look at their upcoming movies and TV. This is coming from the popverse.com. I don't know how accurate some of this information is, but from the popverse.com, it shows to be determined in 2024, Dead Boy Detectives, live action series on Netflix. You got Superman and Lois, which is going to be the final season, season 4. That's on the CW. Those don't really matter. We're going to be focusing mostly on the DCU because that's going to be the ongoing franchise, the larger franchise that people are excited about. What James Gunn and Peter Safran are building to compete against Marvel's Studios MCU. And the first entry, I should say, the first entry into the DCU, official entry into the DCU, is going to be Creature Commandos, which looks like it will be falling this fall on Max. It is an animated series, and I don't think this is going to be the savior for the DC brand. I think fans will get into it. I think fans will watch it. I think fans are going to be curious to see what this is going to bring. But I think we have to temper our expectations with this. It is animated. I think it's going to feel a lot more Peacemaker than Superman Legacy. I think it's going to feel more Peacemaker than what James Gunn is going to be doing with Superman and the grander DCU. So keep that in mind. After that, the next DCU project looks to be Waller Season 1, and it's rumored that it should be coming out late 2024, possibly early 2025. I think that's going to get pushed back to late 2025. I think that's going to come out after Superman Legacy, in my opinion, but that is the possible next project. Again, more Peacemaker, less Superman, but we'll see how that runs course. But really, the first real project within the DCU is going to be Superman Legacy on July 11th of 2025. David Cornsweet as Clark Kent Kal-El Superman. I think it's a perfect pick. I think he's going to do really, really well in that role. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and a plethora of other characters are going to be thrown in there, whether it's in cameo or small roles, to kind of start to build out this DC universe, to establish that heroes have been around. This is an established universe that we're going to see. It's not going to be a universe that is just up and coming of superheroes. And I kind of dig that. I like that idea. And I think James Gunn is the man to kind of usher in this new age of heroes. So I'm really looking forward to it. Let's take a look at Star Wars now. This, though, remember, everything Star Wars is connected. They've kind of established that in some form or fashion, that whether it's animated, books, comics, whatever, it's all connected. But we're going to kind of stay with what is going to be on television or films. You got your Young Jedi Adventures Season 1. I thought Season 1 was already out. I thought that was out. Maybe this is Season 2. Skeleton Crew, that's going to be coming up soon. That's interesting. That does connect to the Dave Filoni verse of shows with The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. It's going to be interesting to see how that all kind of combines. It's supposed to be this very Spielberg-esque, Goonies-esque type of action-adventure show. I'm kind of interested. I do want to see what they kind of do with it. So I'm hoping it's good. I really liked Ahsoka. I know a lot of people didn't like Ahsoka. I really did. I really enjoyed Ahsoka. Bad Batch Season 3, which is actually going on right now, I think, or is just about to start. The Acolyte Season 1. Look, if anything could push Star Wars back 10 steps, it's going to be The Acolyte. There's a lot of agenda pushing in that show. Unless they've gone back and re-edited it, reshot some things, rewrote some things. Everything that I've heard, everything that I've seen up until last summer, they were pushing a very strong agenda in that show. Look, I think they were going to push that agenda, and I think that they were going to hope that they could confuse people, trick people with all the pretty lightsaber battles that were going to go on. I'm worried about it. I am truly worried about it, because this was right down my alley. This is what I was asking for so long. Give me something that really emphasizes the bad guys. And I don't think it's going to do that. Andor Season 2. Look, I wasn't a huge fan of Andor. I know people really, really liked it. I like the world building of Star Wars, though. It wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination. It just wasn't the Star Wars that I want. But hey, to each their own. People can like it and love it, and if it builds the fan base for Star Wars, that's great. Then May 22nd, 2026, the May 2026 movie looks to be the Dave Filoni, Mando, and Grogu, not Dave Filoni, the Jon Favreau, Mandalorian, and Grogu adventure. So that should be exciting. The December 18th, 2026 movie looks to be the Rey film, which I think will get shelved. I think it's going to be shelved, but we'll see what happens there. And the December 17th, 2027, we don't know what that'll be. Could it be the Taika Waititi? Could it be the Filoni one? Could it be the James Mangold film? There's a lot of possibilities. So that's what's coming with the Star Wars. And then Marvel, there is a plethora of Marvel things coming out. We're not going to focus on the non-MCU films, because you'll see Madam Web and Craven on here, which, have you seen the reviews of Madam Web? Woo, not good. But we got X-Men 97 coming out very soon. Deadpool 3 is the only MCU movie this year, 2024, and that trailer looked phenomenal. They did a perfect job with that teaser trailer, did everything, with the exception of like one thing. I think they should have done something a little bit differently, but besides that, everything that I said that the teaser needed to do, they did except one thing. So, good job. Good on Ryan Reynolds and Marvel Studios there. Agatha, The Darkhold Diaries, which that has gone through like 15 different names. I think that's going to be a bomb. I do. I don't think it's going to be good. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1. Originally, that was supposed to be a prequel to Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I don't know if it still is, but that's what it was originally supposed to be. I don't know if it's going to be any good. I really don't. Eyes of Wakanda. Look, that I don't think people care about a Wakanda series like they thought, especially an animated one. So I don't know. Captain America: Brave New World. I was 2 years ago interested in this movie, but we haven't seen Sam Wilson since. We haven't seen Bucky Barnes since. We haven't. That was the thing about early Marvel. Early Marvel, they had a great sense of just teasing the next thing and keeping us invested in these characters in some form or fashion, even if it was just with a little mid-credits or post-credits tease for these characters. And we just haven't seen Sam Wilson in 2-3 years now. It's kind of crazy. Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, which by Florence Pugh kind of thinks that it may not happen. We'll see about that. Blade is another one that I don't think is going to ever happen, at least not with Mahershala Ali. Plus, I don't think he was the right choice for Blade. And after that, you got the Kang Dynasty and the potential Secret Wars and what have you. So, which of these three are going to be the potential, the possible ones to come back and take over pulp culture fandom and bring the general audience in and all of the audience back to the theater? It's a really good question, isn't it? Because I take a look at Marvel and they've got an uphill battle because everything for the last few years has been so generic and copy paste. It really has. And that's been an issue with them. Star Wars is fighting an uphill battle because, well, it hasn't been able to find its feet post the sequel trilogy. Sure, The Mandalorian was a lot of fun. Ahsoka was great. But besides that, when you get into the films, I think the Mando film will do all right. It's going to do all right. The Rey movie, I think it is a big, bad move to go from going from a divisive trilogy to utilizing the main character from the divisive trilogy to another movie with the divisive character from that said trilogy. Doesn't make sense. If you want to try and bring people together, you move away from what was so divisive and you do something different. And they're not doing that. And I think that's a problem because you're going to have a divided fan base still. And they're trying to get away from that. And instead of getting away from the divided fan base, you're just bringing the divided fan base along for the ride still. And that's a problem. And as for DC, I mean, you don't got a lot. I mean, really, one movie and potentially 2 television shows, maybe a few more. I think we might be surprised at some additional things that are going to be coming up here. But 1 movie, 2 shows, possibly 2 movies within the next 2 years. I have to say, the company that has the most potential is DC because they're starting fresh. They're starting fresh. It's a fresh start, brand new eyes on this, new characters, new cast. They have only up to go. They can't go any further down. They only have up to go. So I think DC really has the advantage here. But if I were to say between Marvel and Star Wars, which one can bring it back, I think it's Marvel. And that pains me. It pains me because I'm such a Star Wars fanatic. But honestly, like I said with the Rey movie, it makes no sense with the Rey movie. It makes 0 sense with the Rey movie why they're deciding to go that route right now. It makes 0 sense. You could sit there and say, well, the sequel trilogy, each one made $1 billion. I don't care. I don't care about that. Because you need to bring this fandom together. And you're not going to do that by bringing the character that divided the fandom more than anything else back for another movie. You're just not going to do it. And when it comes to Marvel, I have this suspicion that with them kind of going back to their old ways and doing less projects and Kevin Feige getting some more hands-on with things, I think things are going to start to, the quality is going to pick up a little bit more there. At least I hope it does. But DC, I think, is the number one brand. I think they're the brand that's going to come out on top here, followed by Marvel. And I don't think Star Wars. I think Star Wars has a really, really big uphill battle that I don't think they're going to be able to overcome anytime soon. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think is going to be the brand that comes out on top, that's going to come back and bounce back from the terrible last 5 years that they've had? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe. With all that said, everyone, I'll catch you all later.